What's going on, family? We're so back. Well, let's make some money. I left Fable last night since it was about to be taken off of subscription on automatic buys for tokens, and I woke up poor. So now it's time to do it all over. Do it again. Do it again. Don't ever give Fable control of your wallet while you sleep. It's not a good idea. I woke up like, well, damn, at least I got skills, right?
Hey D, I put Fable on a complex locomotion algorithm I've been working on for robotics for 2 years, and it just hasn't been right. And even though I ran other models on it and even did the math on paper, dude, it solved it in like 3 hours.
Yeah, this shit is no joke.
It gave me a summary of what I was doing wrong and where my variables were wrong and all my heuristics, and gave me a report of, dude, it made me feel so small. I mean, dude, dude. I mean,
I
I got a
mean,
computer science degree, man. I worked my ass off at advanced mathematics, and it made me feel like a total tard.
stupid human brain, bro. You know, what are we gonna do?
Yep. I'm not offended at them for creating that model. I had it wasn't even a humble moment because I already knew that I was kind of dumb compared to these models, but it hit home, dude. It's like, oh my god, dude, I need to like
It's different
just
when it tackles that one thing that's been keeping you up at night. Like,
a lot of nights and
yeah,
frustration. It's no joke that it's PhD level, man. It's not a marketing scheme or scam. It's literally PhD level.
yeah, man. At least until quantum
Did you
AI
see
would technically be considered organic.
did you see Ethereum's roadmap for adding quantum defense?
Yeah, everybody's this next year is gonna be a big push for that. I also was reading into how difficult it is to do that, and they basically said, well, without quantum computers, it's kind of like you just gotta trust. Like, there's no way to test it really, exactly. But they do have some ideas on what could make it more difficult. Yeah,
I mean, we can expect some things to go wrong, man. I mean, some tokens were vulnerable even in, with some pretty smart people working on them. Like, didn't Solana's network have a vulnerability at one
well,
point? There was
Solana got
other
shut
issues.
down with a bunch of North Korean kids DDoSing them. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, what do you think they're gonna do with? Yeah, there's definitely some improvements that need to be made, and security needs to be taken really seriously during this next bull market. I think it's just gonna make a great marketing ploy too. You just slap quantum resistant. When the AI tag isn't working anymore, you just slap quantum resistant in front of it, and then it's going to catch a buzz.
I think if you're a gamer, you're gonna call BS on that one. You know how many times they've said that the hacking was fixed in Call of Duty or the hacking was fixed in Arc Raiders, and then the next day they're
Mm-hmm.
showing videos of people exploiting it even harder.
Well, there's a will, there's a way, bro. Humans that what
Yeah.
humans are at humans the human brain is the very best at finding the quickest way to an incentive. Like it's almost like we were programmed or we were like developed to just grab something and adapt it and make it better and then just continue making better, continue making better, continue making better. Problem is when you put gaming into it, that incentive of being number one, of being and it doesn't even matter, right? Because these kids don't even differentiate cheating from regular. If you exploited it and you won, then the next person should have exploited it and they didn't, and they're losers. You know, it's like the way it's sort of thought of now.
But
So
the
with that
West,
incentive, like you're always gonna like humans are always gonna break that, but humans are always gonna find a way to cheat.
yeah, but for like crypto and revenue generation or theft or whatever
Even with
terminology
gaming, bro,
is,
you don't listen. I have sat there watching my little cousin bump up to every single wall in a video game until he found a broken pixel that he could climb inside the wall on, and
yeah.
then sat there for the next 2 hours just taking kids' heads off through the wall. The amount of effort that goes into finding these things is insane, bro. And then you got the internet. So all it takes is one kid somewhere to find something and then boom, now it's all over, you know? So in video games, they have that same sort of cybersecurity thing that we've got going where like the bad guys go up and then the good guys go up and the bad guys go up and the good guys go up. And it's like a constant back and forth. That Ricochet on Call of Duty, that was supposed to be top notch.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying if you put these marketing terms out there like quantum resistant, maybe some non-gamers would be fooled by that. But
Yeah.
I think when Ricochet came out, man, my son was like, I'm gonna get back into Call of Duty, and then he just came back a couple days later. He goes, No, it's not fixed.
The problem is PC guys, bro. Let's keep it a thousand. You want to play Call of Duty without hackers? Just shut off crossplay, and you'll see
Yeah,
how
that's
like
true.
peaceful your games get. Now there's still cheating, but it's not to the same. It's not code level cheating like you have on PC. You know?
But would you agree that it's a different level when the West closes off countries like North Korea and Russia, and then you find out the most talented, skilled, high-performing hackers come out of Russia and North Korea? It's like
Yeah.
we like incentivize them to break our crap.
Yes.
It's
All
like
right.
we pushed you out of the cool kids club, and then they're sitting back there going, "Well, we have all the tools that you have, but we don't got to fall by your rules
Well,
because
it's like
there's
what happened with
real
Japan.
consequences."
We cut Japan off from ballistic missiles. We used to provide them ballistic missiles to Japan. They were part of our program. We cut them off completely. And in 3 years, they developed the world's leading hypersonic missile program. They would have never
Yeah.
developed that had we not cut them off. They wouldn't have needed to. They would have just been on our tip forever, right? But giving the necessity of it, right? Then invention, and then you've got the brain power that's sitting over there. Like, yeah, they will surpass if they're forced to.
Dude, not to change subjects, but you reminded me of something. I saw some news article about the Bank of Japan is thinking about raising rates, and that has consequences on the West. What is
Yeah, of
that
course.
about? I know maybe you covered it in. I haven't watched all of your.
Deep
I haven't been to
dives.
all your classes. I've been trying to be to the last two, but if you covered it, I apologize.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, it's the yen carry trade is the issue, right? Those low interest rates that we're getting over there, we get to borrow money at 1%, come over here in the US, drop it in bonds for 5%. It's just free money. But they can't keep taking an L because of it, right? Their dollar's going to shit. They keep making they keep making accommodations to keep the world's trade from blowing up, which is really what it is, right? Everybody's worried about the yen carry trade unfolding. So we put pressure on them. Last time we put pressure on them, they were about to raise. We made a deal to buy, I can't remember how many billion of yen, just to support, to support their dollar. The problem is 1 or 2 months after that, we went to war. So we haven't kept up our side of the bargain as far as funneling money into there as uh, we should have, because, well, we were spending millions of dollars to shoot down $50,000 drones, and we kind of had to use money for other shit.
Well, dude, you know how
They
you talk about
should
your personal.
just to be clear, they should 1,000% raise rates and screw the entire economy up if they care about their economy.
Yeah. I mean, I know that you talk about your personal struggle with ADHD, and I have a little bit of it too, and like that's why I like your life coach and everything, all the efforts that you're doing to make things more organized and focused
Hmm.
for you. But everything that you just explained there, like, oh, then we went to war, dude. I think the government has the biggest case of ADHD or adult onset. Just, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are we so hard on ourselves when our leaders have it worse than any other? Does that like what you
It
just said
shouldn't
makes
be.
no sense? Like I mean, and it makes sense, meaning from your explanation, it makes no
Hmm.
sense why they would do that. Like it seems like they're trying to like do too many things at once, but now the consequences are so obvious and direct in our face. And we have, you know, what is that called? Bricks, and we have all these things and pressures that we've never really had before. And then they do what you said. They inject by buying a bunch of yen, and then they turn around and do an exact opposite event or event that's not healthy to that decision like 2 months later. It's just it's like there's multiple, it's like a multiple headed snake or whatever controlling um controlling our decisions instead of one monarch or what. And I'm not saying a monarch is a solution to that, but like they don't talk to each other.
I don't know. I think it's all connected, bro. I really do. I think they know they're doing damage over here and they're trying to do a little bit of good over there, and then it sort of takes the sting off of, but it's never 1,000% the best choice, in my opinion. But it's because we don't know their motivations exactly.
Yeah,
It's hard to tell
guessing
if
is
somebody
always.
made a good decision or not if you don't know exactly what their motivations are. It could be the best decision ever for their plan. We just don't know what the plan is exactly.
See, but what I'm afraid of is that we're gonna get out of Iran and we're gonna just leave that alone. We're gonna get bored with it. We're gonna walk away,
We are.
and then prices are and gas are gonna come down ridiculously. Let's just say it does, and then everybody's gonna be so excited that it drops so hard, but it's relative, right? They're going to be like, hey, wait a minute, you're the one that raised it in the first place. Why are we happy for this? But people will be relieved and think, oh, his plan worked, but it's like, no, it didn't work.
Nobody cares as long as the pain stops. Yeah.
It's just crazy how short term thinking the populace, like short term memory.
It's
Now that
always
we've
been
been
like that,
saying,
though. That's just the way things work.
oh, I know. I just, you think with social
Light a
media
fire,
and
put it
fake
out,
news.
get thanked for putting it out. Nobody remembers you said it in the first place.
Yeah, yes, that's what I wanted to say, but you said it much better.
Yeah, it's like that. What I told you happened to me when I was in junior high school, and I almost burned my building down. Told you that story before.
You probably told it on the stream, but I
I was
probably
in my
missed the beginning
room.
or something.
I gotten home. Mom wasn't home from school yet, so I was in the room smoking, and I heard the door open. She came home early, and I was like, "Oh shit!" So I had the window open. I had the joint. I threw the joint inside the garbage, and then I grabbed the garbage bag and I closed it up, tied it up, and walked right past her to go to the trash chute. I was on the third floor. So I threw the garbage in the trash chute and I went back to the room, aired it out, sprayed, whatever, make sure it was all covered up. And I was sitting there once the adrenaline started wearing off, and I was like, let me go check that trash chute. Like something told me. I'm like, this might have been the first conscious thought I ever had as a kid that was like, you did this, and then this could happen, and this could happen, and this. You know what I mean? When you start getting into that third, fourth order thinking, which by the way, it doesn't
Yeah.
happen until you're like 13 or 14 years old. The next time you want to be tough on a preteen or young teenager for doing stupid shit, they literally do not have the synapses in their brain that are formed that let them understand what the third or fourth order of their actions are.
It makes me
Anyways,
feel bad now.
no, it's real shit though. They have no idea. They just can't. They're just dumb minded, bro. They can't put it together. Um, some are obviously quicker than others, right? People mature faster than others. So I went to the trash chute and I looked, and there was literal flames licking the door when I opened it. And I live on the third floor, right? So there was flames up into the third floor of the trash chute. I was like, I'm screwed, bro. I ran downstairs. They had one of these big metal doors. It's one of those things with like big metal doors and a big green dumpster where shit just falls into from the trash chute. I opened up the dumpster and the entire thing was on fire, bro. I mean, massive flames, smoke, all types of shit. So I run in there and I start kicking the dumpster, right? Trying to get the dumpster to roll down the little ramp thing to get it away from the building. It starts to move and then it catches something and it doesn't move anymore. And now the dumpster is halfway out of the room, halfway in the room. So the flames are now licking the side of the apartment building, right?
Oh
The
my
entire
god.
side of my apartment building up to the fourth floor is black with soot. And there's just fire. People are starting to come out now, whatever. So there was like a little car wash thing next to it. So I turn on the hose and I start spraying the dumpster, right? And I'm sitting there panicking, bro. Like I'm going to jail. I'm gonna get my ass whooped by my mom, and then I'm gonna go to jail with my ass whooped, crying and look crazy in that cell. And I'm just spraying, spraying, and then I hear sirens in the distance. I start hearing the fire truck. So now I'm panicking, bro. I'm like doing everything I can. Fire truck pulls up. They all jump out in their things. Guy puts his hand on my chest. We got it from here, young man. Pushed me over, took all, put out the fire and all that shit. In my mind, all I'm thinking is from TV shows, right? I'm thinking they're gonna do an investigation. They're gonna find the bag that started the fire. My name's probably on there on a paper or something, right? I for sure I thought I was done. So then the firefighters are like, come here, we need to talk to you. I was like, oh shit, I'm screwed, bro. It put me up in the fire truck, put the fire hat on me, gave me this little junior firefighter's shield. Talk about how proud they were, and the people in my building, if they would see how heroically I was fighting that fire, and that that's dumb. I should never do that again and leave it for the professionals. But if in 10 years I want to be a firefighter, just come in and bring this shield and blah, all this shit, bro. I was like, yo. So I'm sitting there, I'm sitting there like relieved, right? But I'm still waiting for the next shoe to fall. Um, and I went upstairs. My mom was in the shower. My mom hadn't even noticed, bro. That any I told my mom this story maybe 5 years ago. She had no idea any of that shit had ever happened. But it was like what we were talking about, right? Like you set the fire and then just the effort to put it out sometimes covers up the whole idea that, well, it wouldn't have been a
Yeah,
problem in
dude,
the
that's a
first
really
place
good
if it
life
if it
life
wasn't for
example.
you. I was so shook, bro. That's like a core childhood memory.
See, that's why I think like that's a perfect example of like people say that they're wiser than you because they have experience. And it's like it's got to be the right experience. It's got to be a lesson learned. Just having experience, so just getting punched in the face is not experience. Defending yourself after you get punched. So the second time you get punched, you defend yourself and maybe you could strike back, then your experience helps. But just because you're experienced doesn't make you more wiser than others. But like if you learn from that experience and the lesson that you learned was like what you said, like you created the fire and you put it out and nobody knew that you created it. Like that's dude. And I don't know, maybe that's on purpose sometimes, from a political perspective. Maybe that's a thing. I don't
Bro, the
know,
amount
but
of times that
it
I've
is.
brought back that memory, like during political shit, looking at shit, like I've literally looked at the TV and thought, what, so I'm supposed to give you a junior firefighter's badge now or something?
Yeah. Yes, yeah, dude, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
people will be so um euphoric that they can get to work cheaper for half the cost now, and they can use that money to party or pay their kids college or whatever, and they're going to be so ecstatic about it that they're not going to remember what was the instigator in the first place. And that always concerns me, man. And it also concerns me in a two-party system where you you let's say you're independent and you vote for one side because you're tired of the other side, and then you just go back and forth and there's no stability. It's the same thing, man. Humans are very what would you say, self-serving, I guess. And I
Hmm.
know that's kind of pointless to say because we that duh, but it just shows its nasty little head when it comes to events like that.
Yeah. Jerry, yeah, we're looking at 3-day down, right? If we come above that 3-day invalidation, then we invalidate that. But right now, if we look at the 15-minute, we've got some pretty good structure going. Right. So the M pattern brings us down to 608. We're just putting in the type 2 on that M pattern now, but we do have a bit of a W pattern here on top of the 5. So there is a chance that it pops and goes. But if we lose that 5, we build that M pattern, we clear this vector, and then we're shooting for the break of that support. Again, that support is pretty serious, right? There's no guarantee we're going to break it, but we got to get there first before we even start thinking about it. But yeah,
Are you are
3-day down is officially on right now.
are you surprised by this action right now, D-Block? Is this, I mean, I know that you've done the charting and you've shown our
Excuse me.
targets below and top, but did you honestly expect it to be ranging like this right here, sideways, horizontally?
Well, I was looking for it to come down to build structure, right? Which was the main thing, my main concern after this move up, right? That we hadn't built any structure. The thing is that Michael selling off the other day gave us that. Let me look at the macro to see what I mean. Nope. Yep. So that push up that we were looking for, right? I mean that type 2 we were looking for. We got it in 1 day. So we came down, we hit that 382, almost hit 0.5. So as far as retracement goes, right, that's a decent type 2. But we got that done in like 1 day because of that dip. And then Trump came out and started talking bullish, whatever. We got that recovery. But as far as structure goes, I mean, this move, in my opinion, was what I was waiting for the 3-day. Come up, 3-day down, make some consolidate down at support, and then sort of take off. Problem is, we did that in 1 day. So there isn't any real need structurally to come down and build support now. It's already there. Only thing that tells us that we need to come down is the fact that inventory needs to be recycled, right? Market maker needs to recycle his inventory for the next push up. And I don't know if they filled their coffers on that quick move.
Is it safe to say, or is this an accurate statement, then that you say it was done in 1 day, where it went down like that, that a lot of shorts got in thinking it was going to do its typical bear market dumpage again, and they got destroyed?
Yeah, I'm sure people got right there. For sure.
Because dude, I wasn't shorting, but I was thinking, oh, here we go. Because it tends to do that before it goes down to the next range. It'll pump really quick up to the top side and then do its next leg down. And it didn't this time. It went up. And so I was like, oh man, I can imagine if you were in that trying to get that as a short would be horrible.
I mean, if you played the break of the 50, right? then you got a pretty quick move. It was the fact that we caught on support. The amount of orders that are sitting here. Remember, I'm not the only one that sees that historically this should be a green July, right? So think of it psychologically. We come down, we put in that low, right? Before July is over. I mean, before June was over. So everybody's waiting. Everybody's like, I don't know, there could be a lower move. We were talking about it. Could it go lower in June and then pop up, whatever? Then we got that low here in July. But remember, we had a bearish close of this monthly candle. Right? We didn't have a bullish close of the monthly candle in June. So the amount of people willing to just hit it at the bottom, probably low, right? Us snipers and maybe a couple of other people, which means that the majority of the market watched this move go up without being in it. Right? Which means automatically everybody's waiting for that type 2. If we can just get that type 2, then we'll go ahead and we'll get the higher low and then we'll take it from there. So the amount of people that were waiting for that retest, that were waiting to come back down to the 0.5 or waiting to come back down to the 382 were a lot. So there was tons of orders sitting there. Right? So that move down Michael Saylor got bought up. It helped, Trump's move sort of helped out or whatever. But those orders are sort of taken. So now the question is, if we do come back down, are there enough orders left at this level that didn't get taken right here to stop price? Right? 1. And 2, the people that bought at this level, where's their max pain? Right? You bought this type 2. At what point do you cut your losses? Right? When it breaks structure, when you break that M pattern, maybe. Higher low has to already be triggering some people. Right? You got a higher high, you got a higher low, you got to be a little nervous. So it's the managing of sentiment. This was good because it picked up buyers. This was not good because it picked up buyers without giving market maker time to recycle his inventory, which means that he's still going to want to have that 3-day down, whether we touched or not. Because of that, we run the risk of coming to this level and not finding any buys because they all got picked up. We also run the risk of people that picked up the buys at these levels capitulating at some point. So you see how just having that fast move and not having a good sort of prolonged retracement can affect the sentiment going into the next week.
Yeah, this is definitely not boring.
None of you know what you're looking at. It's not. No. Looks like we're going to break this level here. Validated that W. We broke our uptrend. All of these are psychological triggers, yo. Horizontal support and resistance is an order on the book. We keep hitting, 61736 over and over and over and rejecting. Well, you can bet that there's an order in the book at that level, right? With a size of Bitcoin that the buy pressure hasn't been able to absorb yet. Horizontal supports, angular supports are different. Right? Angular supports are based on psychology. We touched once. We touched twice. Everybody drew this line. That's why we touched the 3rd time. There's nothing magical about this line. The amount of people looking at it are what makes it viable. Also, the amount of people looking at it are what causes the sell-off when it breaks. Right? It's a psychological level that people are looking at on the chart. Most people look at diagonals like this, which is why I used to have it set up like a money line. Right? You might as well just look at it like this. Above there, you're in the money. Below, you're not. But it's psychology based. Right? There's nothing on the book that causes this to fall apart at this point, except for people who have their sell orders on that line. Makes sense? Which is why people are like, well, wow, trend lines are dumb. Why do you draw trend lines? Oh, okay, then don't. You know, like don't. I kind of want to know what the psychology is of the people that I'm trading against, which is why I draw trend lines, because
Dude, I
there's
don't.
an edge there. You know, it's not magic.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of funny because like I know people will that are anti-crypto will say crypto's gambling, and I don't think it's any more gambling than trading the US stock market or just, in general, like every investment's risky, whatever. But like even when you're playing 21, you're playing poker, and I do not know how to play poker. I just watch other people play it. They make decisions based on what card was just given to them by the dealer, and they're like, okay, do I hold? Do I hit again?
Of
Like
course,
like you make there is still logical decisions to be made by what's thrown in front of you.
there's
It's not like you could
tells.
just
You're playing the person.
yes.
You're playing the person, not the game.
And that's what trend lines do for me. It helps me make a less risky decision.
Yeah. It's like a tell, like you're playing against somebody in poker. You know, somebody that folds every hand if there's a king on the board, right? If a jack, a queen, or a king falls on the flop, they folded the past 9 out of 10 times. Now there's a king on the flop, and this guy's raising. There's valuable information there. You can ignore it if you want to, you know. Like, yeah, maybe he's just stupid, and yeah, maybe, but the most probable is that he's gun shy and he's actually got a hand now and he's about to go all in on your ass. So it's the same thing, right? There's a trend line. Some people will buy at that trend line, some people will sell at that trend line. But what stands true is that when price lives on the other side of that trend line, the sentiment is different. Right?
It breaks through my
The probable outcome of the decisions that people are going to make underneath that trend line, you can sort of break down, right, to a higher percentage bearish decision.
Yeah, so when it breaks a trend line for me, other metrics I use too, obviously that you've taught us, but if it breaks trend line and comes back up to retest it, and I use very loose trend lines too, and it doesn't break through again, and then I'm out and say today's not my day for a swing trade, and it's okay, and you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, as long as the M pattern isn't invalidated, right? So if we take the small M that we're looking at here, right? Your invalidation would be right at this SR flip. Price could continue to do this. It could even pop up and do that, right? As long as it doesn't take out the highs, and as long as, hold on. As long as it doesn't take out the highs, and as long as it doesn't go above golden pocket, then traditionally it would still be considered an M pattern. Even if price was to go up and double top and come down, the measured move would be the same. The difference is that the probability of that playing out are reduced, right? Double top doesn't have the same probability of playing out as M pattern. And it's because of the psychology of it. Again, think of the psychology. You're in a trade, price comes up, you get to a high. You don't take profit. Price comes down, fails to take out that high. The pressure for you to take profit at this point is extreme, right? Because you've already seen the lower high. At this point, if it comes up and it double tops, there's still euphoria involved, right? There is no lower high. You just double top. Maybe it'll just hold. Maybe you're in a range. Maybe. All those maybes keep people holding. Doesn't keep them from getting wrecked, But the best drops come from when everybody decides that it's time to sell. So just like we track those trades on the way up, you know how I like to say how many traders are involved, how many different types of traders are involved with the long. It's the same for the sell-off, right? How many different types of traders are seeing signals that tell them that it's time to get out of their positions? And it's the same exact thing. Exiters are the same exact thing as our longers, right? Snipe short, type 2 on a snipe, breakout on a snipe, retest on a snipe, da-dun, on a snipe, right? These are for entering shorts. Well, it's the same for exiting, right? Bulls, the aggressive bulls will exit on one. The bulls that need more confirmation that that really was the top will exit on two, right? Some people are breakdown traders where they won't leave until the actual trend is broken, until the actual pattern is broken. And some won't leave until price retests, right? Some won't even trust a drop until price comes up and retests, and then that's the point that they'll leave. Those traders leaving are what add fuel to your shorts. The same as on the opposite side, the traders coming into the trade, buying at 1, 2, 3, and 4. When you bought as a sniper, add to your long, right? They're the ones that are pushing your long. On a short, the exiters are the ones that are pushing your short. So the more clear the exit, right, the better the play out. No problem, bro. Excuse me. That's why I like perfect patterns. Like when we look at a pattern and we're like, wow, this thing is textbook. Right? The good thing about that is that everybody's on the same page with that pattern. Right? Can a bear flag still play out as a bear flag if it pops out of the top and it creates like a deviation and then pops back in? Da, da, da. Yeah, right. It's still in the nature of a bear flag. But how many people no longer consider that a bear flag because of that move out of the top of the range? Right? That's a percentage of people that aren't going to sell when that bear flag breaks, which means that's reduced sell pressure that you're going to get on your short out of that flag. So that's why the percentage sort of goes down the less textbook that the pattern is. It's also why we break things down to M's and W's, because by the time somebody's worried about what a bull flag is doing, we've already fractaled through 3 W's and 2 M's, right, inside of that flag. Are you done, Claude? Because we're running out of time and I already had to add more tokens today. I knocked out the landing page for the terminal yesterday. I'm just trying to get everything wired up now. This is what our landing page is going to look like. I still have to fix the moon. Pretty cool. It's got that like Starfield speed up. This shit is so dope. This is our Cypher terminal. This is our Bloomberg terminal alternative. Real-time conflict feeds. Dope. Still got to fix the mobile version. But that shit bled my that shit bled my what you call it. Yeah, but the problem is Fable's not running on subscription anymore anyways. So it's like pay per use at this point. But yeah, with Claude I agree.
Look at you, man. You making a website that somebody would charge you $200 an hour to make 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's funny because they were like, web dev is dead. And it's like, all those web devs are not dead. You know, they're intelligent people. All they did is just scale up their business.
Is it still on subscription right now, Lance? I ran out of sub yesterday and I had to I've got it set up to where it just buys the tokens it needs if it's mid work. But I ran out of session tokens last night and woke up significantly poorer this morning, token
Dude,
wise.
did you hear about what Cloudflare just announced that's going to happen on the 15th of September?
Mm-mm.
They are no longer allowing agents um, to crawl websites for information or their source code or anything because they'll detect that it's an agent, and then you're going to have to, if you want to still be able to do that, your agents are going to need a token and you're going to have to pay for that token access.
Well, better get to scraping now.
That's huge, man, because that's no longer free internet. Things are just not free and open anymore. And Cloudflare doing it is huge because they have such a they're like one of the largest hosters, and also facilitators of
It is
traffic
sort
and
of
access.
protecting the IP though of code, isn't it? I mean, to be able to just go in and scrape somebody's site. I mean, I've done it. I've done it
I
for
mean, so have
pieces that
I,
I've
dude.
needed, and
Yeah.
but thinking of it as the creator, right? As a builder, I don't know. There's always going to be ways around, I guess. But I'll be real with you. Something does have to be done, even though I've done it, just to figure out things that I didn't understand. But I mean, what's the difference between what we're doing now with AI and what China's been doing for the past 20 years? Yeah, like we villainize them for it, but the second we get access, we immediately go and start trying to rip corporate secrets and code, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why they're doing it is they see it as a revenue generation. They're not doing it for moral purposes, and I think you know that. They're
Yeah, yeah,
doing it
yeah.
because
I'm
it's
sure.
another way to milk more money out of
Yeah, of
you.
course. Yeah.
So they're going to say you're allowed to do it, but your agent's going to have an auth token to be able to get through these sites. And I'm still conflicted on it. I think ultimately in the end, like duplicating an awesome website or whatever it's all aesthetic unless you know how to put that into your business and use it to generate revenue. So in some cases it's just kind of harmless because there's a lot of people just trying to make personal portfolio sites or whatever, and then to me it's harmless. But yeah, when you got somebody who's like ripping off Shopify and making their whole Shopify experience without Shopify, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I don't know, man. It's gonna be all about the builders, bro. It really is. What have you added that's different, right? What makes your site different? Is it the collection of data? Is it the type of data you're collecting? Is it how you're presenting it? Right? Is it the thesis behind the data collection? Right? Because everything's just going to turn into a massive RSS feed. Like the people that are
Well, I
taking
think
shortcuts and trying to like add value without having any real sort of different angle, right? They're just like flooding shit now.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to token cost and like your cost for running agents is an investment. And I think it's no different than any other business investment. And if you don't see a return on your investment right away, a lot of people are like, why am I doing this? I just spend all these tokens and not getting anything. Like, you still have to have a business plan. You have to have a strategy. You have to have a goal of what you want to go after. If you don't, you're just gonna have cool stuff that looks cool with no purpose.
It can't
And
be. Yeah, it can't be just to make money.
yeah, there has to be, like, for me, I want to build a brand. If that brand ends up generating revenue over time, great. But if not, at least I have something that artistically I can say that's mine, and I have some followers that enjoy my content or enjoy my art. That gives me personal satisfaction. If it turns into a revenue generating system in the end, great. But I have a passion for these things that I want to get up every morning and work on,
Yeah.
aside from working in a corporate world. And if you don't have a goal, man, I mean, I know some are, they make, there's been a lot of people making businesses, AI businesses, um, to automate systems and selling the company for, like, you know, a few $1 million to a bigger corporation, and then they move away from it. But at least they have a passion of, like, I'm building this to sell it.
You're
At least
building.
there's
Yeah, you're
something
a
there.
builder. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's. I mean, yes, obviously, make money, right? Make as much money as possible, buy as much Bitcoin as possible. Yeah. But when it comes to my passion projects, to the things that are not work, right? Like my Cypher Intelligence group that I'm running with my quant buddy, right? I'm ruthless on there, meaning like what I'm charging, what I'm asking for, and not taking less um, for this data and this service is, yeah, it's extractionary. I'm trying to extract as much capital from these hedge funds as possible so I can use it to build up my portfolio. That's not a passion project. I don't love that. You know what I mean? This I love, right? This is my passion project. Like the community, the Discord, the Cypher School. For passion projects, it works a little different. Like my only goal is for all my passion projects to be self-sufficient. They don't have to make a dollar, right? But they need to be able to run themselves, or else that becomes something different. You know what I mean? So yeah, if this was a job, then the structure would look completely different, right? And it would have to, because I would want to get paid for doing a job, because jobs are not fun, right? You know what I mean? Like nobody has fun. You know, it's not something that you enjoy. I mean, yeah, you enjoy doing it, but you know what I mean? It's something that if you
Yeah, I
weren't
mean,
getting paid, you wouldn't be doing it.
I get that, D-Block, but I think the only thing I'm gonna disagree with you about is that that's how a lot of things grow organically. And I know this is a really weak example, like, because it's very controversial, but Joe Rogan didn't expect to be where he was at. He was just, I just like doing this podcast thing. I just like talking to people, and it's kind of funny, and we drink, and we smoke and do all this stuff. And then he's like the biggest podcaster in the world. Doesn't mean that I agree that he should be. I'm just saying he is, and it's like maybe, like, your passion. I do believe your passion can turn into. I don't like it turning into a job where you're, like, resenting it. That's the
No,
part I
no.
don't
This will.
like.
I'll
That's
never let this become a job. Yeah, I have to
But I
guard
just think
against
it's a
that.
dream to be able to, like, use your passion as your career. Like, that just sounds like, a to me, sounds like a dream. If you can find a way to where it doesn't get ruined by the bureaucracy, politics, like taxation, all of the other crazy stuff, that negative things that you just got to deal
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, Gio. I mean, you know, I love this because I was doing it for free on somebody else's channel for the longest, without any sort of obligation to do so, without any sort of compensation to do so, without any sort of, you know. But I was breaking one of my rules, so that's not good. There's 3 rules that you should never break, and these aren't my rules. I actually got these from a YouTube channel. Anybody ever watch that dude, young dude, and he just interviews billionaires like on the street? asking them questions and shit about their business and all that.
Oh yeah, they're usually in a car or they're at their home or something.
Yeah. I've watched a ridiculous amount of those. Like I've gone through like marathon sessions where I just like spam those. But you should always listen. Somebody with more money than you speaks, you should listen. That's just I learned that lesson early. You just shut up and listen, you know? I mean with that sort of money, right? And the one thing they always say that the three things that they always say, some of them say all three, some of them will just say one, but all of them together, if you average all of the advice that they've ever given, it all comes down to three things. You do what you love. You never work a day in your life, right? You never do it for free, and you never do it for somebody else. And I was breaking two of those rules. But yeah, do what you
But
love. Never do it for free, and never do it for somebody else.
I'm gonna do what my wife tells me. She goes, all things happen for a reason. Whenever I'm feeling like I give too hard on myself, and she's like, all things happen for a reason, and maybe that's what launched what you have today. I don't know.
No, of course. I would never do anything different. I wouldn't go back and change anything because I'd be scared what happened, like the future me. I like where I'm at right now. Everything I've been through has brought me here, sort of develop my worldview and whatever. So I wouldn't change it. But yeah, Issa, those videos are the shit. You learn a lot of good things from those videos. The ones that I like are the ones where he walks up to the guy and he's like, "So, what do you do for a living?" And the wife is like, "House husband. I've got $3 billion." That's what you get for assuming, bro. Nah, even back in the day, I've had this setup for the longest time, and a lot of people think that this setup is because of YouTube. This setup is because of the amount of time that I spend in the office. And if I don't make it a vibe, then it becomes work. And like we just talked about, I try to avoid making this work. The vibe I was going for in the office was old school holodeck, cigar, old school holodeck, wooden cigar library that hasn't rezzed in completely. So you're still seeing part of the ship. It doesn't make sense to y'all because y'all can't see the other room, the other side of the room. The other side of the room is all repurposed shipwreck lumber, old school, like built in library. I'm gonna rearrange the cameras here eventually. We gotta figure out how to show the whole. We're gonna need some angles. All right, new batch of shorts are out. I'm gonna start posting the shorts tomorrow. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna post 1 minute shorts for each chapter of Cypher School. So anybody that's not in Cypher School and has wondered sort of what we're talking about, you'll have one little 1 minute shorts per chapter. That should be a good funnel to get people to join in. And then I'm gonna start dropping the deep dives, or the deep dives that we do like every other night or whatever. There'll be a short sort of introducing a deep dive, and then the day after the short drops, the deep dive will drop, and then we'll put those on a schedule. So we should have either a short or a long form posting once a day, aside from the videos. I just noticed that we've been through so many deep dives, right? Like Bobby has helped us cover so much shit over the past year, and it's nowhere. Like it's nowhere to go back and see. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just trapped in the 12-hour streams.
You know, when you're on the other channel, I always felt like I'm only here because I like my manager, but I don't like the company.
Well, a lot of people were in the same position, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if that's healthy or not, but you know, it is. It is. It is. I think it's like my company. I like my team, but I'm not a huge fan of the company.
Yeah, even just to go back and look at it over time, it would be cool. You know, and then it'll give me the ability to do like year-end reviews. You know, like you grab all of the deep dives from the last year, clip them all into one video, and then you got to sort of sit back. You know how they do on the news, right? Where they do like everything that happened for the last year, or they do it in music or whatever. It'd just be cool to see all the shit that we went through for the last year in one spot, right? At one time. I mean, I kind of like that aspect of it because there's sort of an aspect of like you have to be there, right? Because we cover so much on the stream and it doesn't necessarily get put back out. So it's like if you were here type shit.
Yeah, Dbloc. Have you seen any of Uncle Murder's like year-end wrap-up videos? He does it every
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
And you said that, I just had a, like a thought or an image of that with AI making it into crypto-based.
It's like the
Tell you what's
second.
going on.
It's like the
And
second thing I do
funny
when the
thing,
ball drops.
yeah,
Ball drops, I
that's
kiss the loved ones, and then I go look for the wrap up.
yeah, the wrap-up. Yeah, that would be cool. And I love the idea about the shorts for the class.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe something, again, just an idea,
Hmm.
but key takeaways, or like it would be nice to at the beginning of the day or whatever, once a month you go and you can do like the shorter version of the class. Because to rewatch the class, it's like 3 hours each one. I wish,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
would be nice if I could, key takeaways or, just the real important stuff as a quick 3-minute reminder of that chapter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that or maybe at the end of the video, having, kind of the wrap up. So, key takeaways, whatever.
Hmm.
I notice certain videos, I always like when they have that at the end. It's like, it's almost like they write the notes for you. It's like a checklist of, all the important takeaways
Yeah. In case
as a
you missed
reminder
it,
on
type
the way
shit.
out the
No, it's a
door.
good idea.
Yeah. Again, I love what you're doing. It's
I
dope, man.
appreciate you, bro. I'm trying to get all the checklists done because like every other chapter has had a checklist. And they're there, but I want to put them all in one place, like maybe like a student handbook or something like that. And then you'll have like all your checklists, right? We just go through the day and depending on what you're doing to make sure you got everything, watching every corner. Right now I'm running serious back testing, forward testing. The last chapter is going to be the quantitative edge. We still got like 4 chapters between here and there, but in that chapter, what I want to do is be able to put in front of you, okay, you know the system, right? There's ways to play it 1000% with all the filters where you're looking for every single thing to line up before you take the trade. There's ways to play it loosely, right? But I want to give hard numbers to what win percentages, EV, Sharp ratio, because I think once you see the hard numbers, once you see the quantitative edge that the system gives you on paper, it's going to be easier to just play the system. Like we were talking about in thinking on bets. Just understand that even a 70% win rate gives you a 30% loss, and those 3 losses get out of the way, and then you just keep running until the system plays out, basically. And then from there, you guys can take it, add, subtract, butcher it. I just want to make sure that everybody understands the edge that you're getting. And then it's going to be incredible to see where it goes from there. Right? Because this isn't just going to be your strategy forever. This is the base strategy to where your personal trading style is going to develop on top of. And that's always the cool part. Right? Seeing the differences once people get some experience, how they adapt. I'm a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wish I would have had, and this isn't even. I'm not even sitting here trying to show, right? This Discord or any other Discord, whatever. Just the basic stuff that you guys get to learn coming in now, is stuff that we had to figure out, like by constantly getting wrecked. Because there was nobody. Only people around were like legacy guys, and they weren't in a big hurry to share any type of secrets. And then any of the shit that they did learn over there, for the most part, still needed to be adapted for crypto. But we had no idea how to do that. So to come in, bro, to come in and just know that Bitcoin is going to outperform for most of the bull market, and there's a bull market and a bear market that ends and starts at a specific time with certain things that you need to watch for. Just those 2 things, right, would have saved me so much money, bro. Like so much money. So being able to come in with that sort of advantage, to have some knowledge underneath your wing and then build from that, like, yeah, I get jealous of y'all sometimes.
So I've been playing with some edges on the prediction market. And I wanted to run it by you. I was thinking about like weekly set of trades that I look for,
Mm-hmm.
and one being, you know, market makers, 3-day down or 3-day up. You can take a bet on, the outcome at 5 o'clock tomorrow or whatever, either way.
Like play the
Or there's a
15-minute
set
up and
price win.
downs.
Yeah, not so much the 15 minutes for this situation, because I'm trying to say, all right, so 9 out of 10 times, and that's a loose statement, but whatever the odds are, it's a lot more likely that market maker stays in control than him losing it, right?
I
So
see what
that
you're saying. Yeah.
taken into say that Monday's high or low is a good play to say that, in 3 days or one day that you're going to be lower, so
Yeah.
like whatever, making a note of the high coming into Monday night, and then, seeing what the odds are or whatever, checking the market. But that could be a pretty safe, straight bet. And, again, you look at the numbers at the time, but, your stop loss, again, you could just enter or exit at a certain, invalidation point at, a minimal loss. But really, again, look at the winning side. And I was thinking, with the weekend trap, we're still figuring it out. It seems to deviate outside of the fixed range that it used to, I feel. I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
The way the weekend traps have been working so far, and it's pretty close to what we said in the beginning. Fridays are loose. You set your traps, but until your psychological range is set, the traps tend to reset themselves. Right? You tend to either build a new trap long or build a new trap short. But once the psychological ranges kick in, then it tends to stick inside of the psychological range the way it would stick inside of CME. Look at what happened last time. Our CME gap was right here. Where? Dun, 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 dun. 17 is zoom in so we get it right. It's right there at that dotted line. Just to show you. Right, so that's our CME, which doesn't exist anymore. Look at what price still did.
Yeah, those are the anomalies. I'm trying to create a couple of trades to look for the prediction market. It's easy to make a 3-to-1 on that. And again,
I'm working on a bit of an easier way. I mean, I get what you're saying, and yeah, there's definitely an edge there, right? If you can, especially against the people you're trading against. I saw a crazy stat the other day that said 70% of people trading crypto on Poly don't have charts open. Like they're trading other people's picks. So there's people that are doing TA, right? And then they're basically selling their parlays on it. So anyways, yeah, my point is that any sort of conscious thought that you put in over there is going to give you, in my opinion, an edge. The poly market bot that I'm working on works a little bit different. So what I'm doing is I'm scouring poly and Kalshi for misplaced bets, for mispriced bets, right? So if everything settles to 100, let's say US is playing Mexico, right? Everything settles for 100. On poly, there's a 25% chance that the US will lose, and a 75% chance that that Mexico will win. But on Kalshi, there's a 18% chance that the US will lose, and a mispriced Mexico win, which leaves a gap, right? And we know it's going to settle to 100. So that means you can take US losing on Kalshi and take Mexico winning on Poly, and then win with the spread, with the misplaced spread of that bet, with no matter what happens, whether Mexico wins or whether US wins. Right? It's a technical mispricing of the bet between two different platforms. So it's automatic, right? There's no way to lose that. Problem is you have to be okay with 1%, 2%, 3% spreads, because that's really what it is. But if you've got a bot that's doing that and lining them up for you, right, then yeah, it's basically like arbitrage. And it's going to exist until they both get standardized somehow, but there's no way to standardize it because these are people to people bets, right? These aren't brokered bets. There's also imbalances where the language of the bet ensures that it's already at 100, but the bet itself is still priced at like 97, 96, 95 because people are taking hedges on their bets. The reason that these bets never get to 100 before they're done, even if it's automatic that it's already done, is because people are always going to hedge against their own bets just in case. Right? A hedged bet on Poly where you've only got a 10% chance to the upside, a hedged bet, if it goes wrong, you're crazy in the money. And it's so cheap to take a hedged bet that it's almost done automatically over there. So there is money to be made without gambling, right? But yeah, there's definitely money to be made using information. It's information asymmetry, right? It's just like anything else. Maybe you're not an insider, right? And you don't know what Joe Rogan's gonna say at the next, podcast or whatever, or what Trump's gonna say in the next meeting. But you do have information asymmetry by knowing that market makers in control. We're on a 3-day down. We just broke support. Right? Chances are you close the week lower than the weekly high. Maybe there's a bet that's over under, right? Closes underneath this price by this date, above this price by this date, that sort of thing. But just be careful, y'all. Just understand it's gambling. Even if you have information asymmetry, it's still a gamble.
When are you gonna throw that in Discord? Your bot that you're working on.
As soon as I'm done, that's the sort of thing that it needs to be 1000% right before I release it. That's one of the things I want Fable to work on today, actually. Now, definitely get those likes going, yo. That's an M pattern on likes, yo. 117 high, 34 likes, lower high. You would short this right now if you were playing technically. That's how YouTube looks at the views and the likes. A lot of people watch on their TVs, though. I know I hardly ever like a stream or something if I'm watching on TV. But if you would like to, press up on your D-pad, then press to the side a couple times until that little heart is highlighted, and you can slap that little button in the middle, and you can put your remote back down.
Or you tell your LG TV to say like video.
It depends on what I'm telling it to do, Limitless. If I have it on a job, yeah, it can work for like a half an hour without coming back to me, which I actually like. I appreciate that. One of the hard rules that I tell my AI agents is never ask me to do something that you can do, and never ask me for permission to do something that you can do without permission in a different way. Yeah, I like it on TV too. Like I watch most of my YouTube content on television. I know a lot of people watch on phones, but that's never been my thing. Maybe if I'm like at the gym or something, I'll pop in just to see what's going on. But I don't like, if I'm on the phone, I'm probably flipping through shorts or like IG, just short form content. Measured move from the smaller M pattern brings us back down to the neckline of our larger M pattern. Everybody's trying to accumulate Bitcoin. Remember, I tell you that. Anytime somebody offers something new, just remember everybody is in Bitcoin accumulation mode. I bet Polymarket's going to accept Bitcoin deposits. I bet. What used to piss me off too was everybody that was like hardcore gambling on memes and getting like rug pulled. And then I would pull up the wallets of the dev that rug pulled, and I would show them the money going right from the rug pull into Bitcoin, into cold storage. And it's like, yo, these people are taking your money and they're using it to buy Bitcoin. Like, why don't you just whatever. It was fun though. I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of fun in the trenches. But it's just like anything else, bro. There's a way to move smart in the trenches, and then there's a way to just degen, right? Just YOLO into the wind. My boy's the one that snapped me out. I have a homeboy. He bought he's never listened to me when it comes to crypto. Right? Ever. Everything he's done, I've warned him against. Everything I've warned him against has worked. But okay, you know how I say you gotta build, you have to build a strategy that you can replicate over and over, right? So he went all in on NFTs. Right? After me telling him, trade Bitcoin, it's a good amount of money. He always had a decent amount of money. Invest, buy some Bitcoin, hold off, He comes and he tells me one day, I bought these NFTs. And I'm like, bro. Turns out the NFTs he bought were Bored Apes. So you know how that ended up. So all right. 1 him, 0 me so far. Right? Then in the bear market, he what was that airdrop? Shit. What was that airdrop where everybody got 10K for staking? 10K per wallet. It was like a year ago. Come on, somebody in YouTube chat GPT knows the answer. It's just gonna fry my brain right now. I can't remember the name of it. Hold on. Give me a second, I'm not gonna be able to chill until. Nah, it wasn't hype. It wasn't Jupiter. Anyways, he puts 1 coin in staking in like 8 different wallets and just cleared a ridiculous amount of money on that. And then he got into memes. The one good thing that I'll say is that he doesn't double dip. Right? He didn't keep playing NFTs, or he didn't keep playing the airdrop game. Or he didn't keep playing memes. But boy, he got an angel on his shoulder, bro. Because every project that he happened to touch in those narratives were the ones that went. And now I literally can't tell him shit, So hopefully his luck streak continues. He's buying Bitcoin at least. I got him to get some Bitcoin, so that's good. As long as he's got some Bitcoin, then he can just screw off the rest of that money. The dude is a hardcore gambler, bro. He if you ever hear me talk about going to my friend's gallery, this is a dude that I'm talking about. He has this. He's got a big ass gallery, right? It's like a living space, but it's like a big warehouse. It's got like a gallery attached to it. He's got this big ass, I would say like 10 foot by 6 foot framed art piece in the lobby of this place, and it looks like paper mache. Well, when you look at it, right, it's got like a shape, but for the most part, it's like all like loose paper. So I'm sitting there one day and I'm looking at it. I'm like, what the hell? He's like, you know what that is, right? I was like, what? He said, that's every one of my gambling receipts from when he used to go to the casinos. And I stood and I started looking really close. When I tell you there's thousands of these things, I mean, it's like I said, it's like 10 foot by 6 foot. You know how big receipts are. The whole thing is completely plastered. But there's $10,000 withdrawals, $50,000 withdrawals, $20,000 withdrawals, $100,000 withdrawals. And it's just over and over and over and over. I was like, Jesus Christ, bro. He's like, yeah, no, I wake up every morning and I stand in front of this thing. It's the only thing that keeps me from gambling. The amount of money that he's fucked off, for lack of a better term, because there really is no better term for it than that, is ridiculous. And he's still catching wins. That's why I say, but this dude has got an angel on his shoulder. Like we talked about in class the other day, right? There's some people that have the psychology for certain shit. Excuse me. All the warnings that you hear that I give are like for your base psychology, right? But there's always people on the extremes. And like people that I've known long enough and I've seen them actually deal with the pressure and I've seen them actually deal with the, you know, um like a couple of people in the group, right, that trade really high leverage. Like I think the example I gave in the class was Sinlos, right? Like Sinlos will trade 250, 500x leverage. I've never given him a single word of caution or warning or right because I've seen him show the psychology needed to deal with that sort of pressure, right? And handle those trades effectively. It's like Drew, right? Drew spends all his time in the trenches. You know, he takes big hits and he makes big wins, but you never hear me go too hard on a bro, you know, da 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 da. Because I've known him for a while and I know that he has the psychology to deal with it. But just because person A can handle it doesn't, you know what I mean? And it doesn't make one person better than the other. It's just you're wired different to deal with different shit. That's all. Yeah, but it's super low dollar amount. So the psychology is low. It's all about stress levels, man. Like we said, when you look at the sizing indicator, I need to put this thing somewhere that I can get to it all the time. right? So like you look at the sizing indicator. Let's just throw a fake trade on here. Let's say we're going short from here. Stop loss, ATR above that type 2, 639. All right, let's be more responsible. Stop loss above type 1, 6433. And we're shooting for the measured move of that bottom 60865. So proper sizing is $5,800 if your total account size is 10K. Right? 5x 1,166. 500x $58. Right? That's the proper reduction of margin. The problem is that people up the X's and leave the margin the same, right? Which blows your risk completely out. So if this plays out, you're looking at $213. Now, what's the difference between the 500x and the 5x? Still the same amount of money you're getting back. You're not making any more because you 500x if you size properly. What you're doing is you're running the risk of immediate liquidation by putting yourself right in front and not giving yourself any room to wiggle. If you get stopped out, you're still losing that. You're still losing that $100, whether you're 500x or whether you're 5x. So what is it? The dopamine hit is harder when it's 100x. The price moves faster or something. The P&L moves faster. Right? At 5x liquidation, not that it matters because your stop loss is going to hit before that, but your liquidation levels up here in the dark zone, which means you're not even on market makers' radar. Your 500x, your liquidation's right here. Same amount of money, more risk, higher stress. Doesn't make any sense. If you're sizing properly, right? If you're using good risk management and you're sizing properly. If you're not, then yeah, of course it makes sense to go 100x because when it works, you're making a ton of money because you've got way too much margin, but you're getting, death by 1,000 paper cuts. You're stressing out, you're round tripping. Yeah, that calculator's in the Discord, Limitless. It's more than just that. That's not what I wanted. Hold on. So there's gonna be a Cypher Lite version that's going out to everybody. And then the full version is for Discord members. The only difference between the full version and the light version, actually, I can just show you the light version. Hold on. So this is the free version, right? The only difference is that this is going to be for spot. I'm not going to help you size your leverage positions unless you're going to be in the Discord and get to listen to my warnings and my shit about leverage. But there will be a sizing calculator for spot traders, right? That's free. It lets you go short, but it's not going to give you it'll give you your trade. I don't want to completely gatekeep it, right? So it'll let you know what your proper sizing is for short. The difference is that you're not going to have the rest of the functionality. Right? This will let you go short. It will also let you turn on your futures mode. It'll let you add your trading fees, your funding fees. It'll let you figure out your leverage. Right? And then once that is in, let's just say 6. I'm just going to put some bullshit in here just to turn it on. Sure, it must be above entry, obviously. Okay. Hey, don't go short. Just go long then. Leave me alone. All right. So once you turn that on and you're able to turn on the futures mode, it'll open up your profit per hour underneath. Right. This won't be in the free section. Profit per hour will basically tell you you've been in this trade for 30 minutes. Right. That's your profit per hour. If that's your profit per hour and you don't take it, know that your rate versus what fast food's making, retail's making, you just made 4x a warehouse worker. You just made 2 times the teacher's salary. Just made 2 times the police officer's salary. It'll let you know what happens if you don't take your profits. Right? If price goes down 10%, you're now at 70. If it goes 30%, 40%, you're now down to $46 an hour. If you round trip it and go underwater, you now have to work overtime just to get the money that you lost back. Right? Give you a visible example of what happens to the trader that takes profit and the ones that doesn't. And then it'll let you know the trade that you took, what it boils down to on a monthly, annual basis, weekly basis. Sizing is probably one of the most important things, brother, nobody talks about. To properly size a trade. Yeah, it's going to be an app. There's a couple things I need to fix. I need to add another section to be able to add the in and out for the fees, and then it should be done. Hand it off to Fable, have it fix the UI, make it look good, and then we'll be done with that. Because I don't like the third-party risk that leverage brings in crypto. Until that's removed, I won't trade leverage on chain. I rather trade leverage where at least they pretend to have some semblance of regulation. We'll see what happens after clarity passes. The amount of times I've been sitting right here in this chair and I've heard stories or seen personally people get wiped out of perfectly good trades through no fault of their own. I don't have the personality to be able to take that and just, I will be at MEXC offices knocking on the door. Funding rates are basically what the exchange pays you to trade in the direction they want you to trade to help balance their books. For you want to really get down to the brass tacks of it, right? They'll either pay you to go short or go long, whatever benefits them the most. It's like, think of it like incentivizing order flow. That's why you hear people say, like, when the funding rates are getting out of control, that there's about to be a pivot. I know people that just farm funding rates too. People have a lot of fun just farming funding, but that's like a rabbit hole. Yeah, basically. Think of it as a penalty for success, right? If longs are eating for too long, that funding rate will go up. And they basically pay that to the shorts every 8 hours. Think of what that does though, right? Like I said, it's a way to control order flow. Prices just parabolic, right? Prices been moving too hard. They need a rebalance. So they make the longs pay the shorts. Well, that makes people decide to go short, right? It incentivizes going short because you're now getting paid to go short. So as more people go short, exchanges get the intended effect. And then the funding rate starts to settle again. Think of it like yield, right? The only time you offer yield is when you're trying to incentivize somebody to buy something that's going down. Or in their case, up or down. Think of it like funding rates are being paid to people that are trading in the direction that the exchange wants to go in. It's more like they make you pay for holding a winning one. Yeah. I had Whisper on. Claude, stop listening. Oh, it wasn't Claude. It was Gemini. Look, Mick, Gemini's trying to help. As the price differential goes up, the longs have to pay the shorts. That's funny. As it goes down, the shorts pay the longs. Really. Anybody ever forget to turn Whisper off? I gave Claude like a 15-minute long monologue as a prompt the other day because I forgot my Whisper was on.
I've done that, dude.
But it gave me a whole breakdown of the whatever TA I was given online when I did it. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I went and I looked up at the prompt. I was like, oh shit.
Dude, I have it in control of my Cdance UI. So and it had it on autopilot, and I did that. I was in a meeting, and then it was like, Jake is not around. Let's just submit. And it made a video of the bull crap that I was talking, which is not even related to anything that I wanted. You had to see what kind of video created, dude. It was nuts.
It's funny.
I came back to my desk and went, what is this crap? And then I'm like, oh my God. It like, if obviously the prompt had a limit of like 1,000 characters or something.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that it was on autopilot and it goes, Jake is not around. I'm gonna submit this. And I'm just like, you're don't use autopilot if you don't want tokens eaten.
Yeah, Mick. Remember, market makers get paid by exchanges to create balance. When exchanges want balance, they pay for it.
If you think Fable tokens are expensive, try to use Cdance tokens, man. Cdance is expensive.
And what still pop up? This, yeah, we invalidate this. And well, we got our invalidations above us. We also have our 3-day invalidation, which is the big one. Right? If we pop all of those, that means that we're trading by momentum. And what we were talking about earlier, the fight between. So normally market makers and whales have a bit of an agreement because market makers moves give whales the entries that they need. Market makers entries give whales the pivot give market maker the pivot that they need. But what we did the other day when we came down to that 386 in one move, to that 382 in one move, and those orders came in. So like whale money is in the game already. And market maker still has the need to take his 3-day retracement. right, to rebalance inventory. So these are the situations where we get into a market maker versus whale fight. Usually their motivations are in the same direction, but this is a chance that whales have now to push market maker out of his weekly cycle. And they'll probably try to take it. Question is, can they? Right? This is going to be big bank, take little bank. The problem is market maker hasn't recycled his inventory. So the war chest on market maker's side is going to be pretty low. Remember, market makers don't have an endless amount of money. They use their own money for these to provide liquidity, which is why you have to have that inventory rebalancing cycle every week. So the longer that you keep market maker from doing that, the less money they have to fight the whales.
This is definitely feel like it's rolling over, but now we've been here before and it didn't roll over, so
Yeah.
it's hard to tell.
I much rather it when if we had not taken that dip, right? We had just scaled up. We didn't take this dip down. And whales were still looking for entry to take new positions, then we would be in a better position to go down here.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking you like how you felt about this whole thing, because it feels like when people say just dump already, just get it over with, and I kind of feel like that previous dip kind of got rid of that a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. The structure was built. The technical reason to go down and build structure has already been taken care of. So the same way we talk about people getting involved in a trade to know when the most amount of people are involved, right? Or everybody's involved. It's the same for market makers. So you've got market makers, you've got whales, and then you've got your technicals, right? These are the three reasons that price move up and down. There's things on the chart that need to be filled and balances that need to be filled. There's market maker motivations and there's whale motivations. At this point, 2 days ago, when we were here, everybody's motivation was to the downside. Technical motivation was to come down and build support. Whale's motivation would be to add to positions because we know that they can't put their entire bag at one go, right? They look for those type twos to add to position. And market makers' motivation was down because of the 3-day, cycle that we would have had. The problem is making that move down both settled the technical reason to go down and it settled the market, the whales reason to go down. And we saw the volume come in, so we know that those orders hit. So now the problem is there's no technical reason to go down. So that's basically a neutral. Right? Whale's motivation is up and market makers' motivation is down. So that's when we get into fight territory.
Yeah, that's what I meant about it not being boring. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm out for now until I can find myself a lower position. I just can't buy. I know we're not at the top, but we're at a local top a little bit to me, and I just can't do it right now. I gotta wait for a bargain to come in.
I hear you. Nothing wrong with that. The only thing wrong with that is timing, Lucas. I've told you guys from the beginning that I'm going to err on the side of timing over everything else. If we were mid-September, then I would entertain it. If Legacy had already taken its retracement, I would entertain it. If metals had already taken their retracement, I would entertain it. But I haven't been able to find anybody that can show me a scenario where legacy rolls over and Bitcoin doesn't take another low. Not this far away from the bottom by time. But everything's possible. That would be one hell of a front run, and it would go down as an anomaly. But you can't say anything's impossible. You know, the closer we get to the bottom, the closer we get to mid 50s, low 50s, I'm going to have less and less arguments for the bears. Right? Because probabilistically, you are getting into the range where it wouldn't be unheard of, you know? But I still got to stick to what's the most probable. And the most probable is that we haven't seen all of the pain yet. Yeah, I use volume profiles. I just pop them up when I need to from time to time. There's a volume profile on right now. The only difference is that I have the just for looks purposes, I have the volume bars turned off. We're just looking at value area high, value area low.
Would you agree we're in the beginning of the consolidation?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I mean, I know we were looking for 150 and we never got it. We're looking for 40. You know, we may never get it, right?
My bullish target is still low 50s, meaning that's the lowest that I'm willing to concede. My base target is 45 to like 48. And then my bearish target is 38 to high 40s.
And those lows are a quick dip down.
Yeah. This isn't go down there and hang out scenario. This is either you're there to buy it or you've got orders set or you might miss it. Which is why, like I said, when we get into this, when we take this next drop down, I think there's 2 drops left. When we take this next drop down to mid 50s, low 50s, that's where I'm going to start my DCAing. Just a slow structural sort of DCA. My intention is to buy this, right? This is always my goal. We're waiting for that 2-week Ichimoku to cross, right? I don't wait for that to make my first buy. Usually that signals the bottom of the market, or very close to the bottom of the market. 2 weeks off, roughly. What I like to buy once we get into this consolidation is this. Right? That's what I want to buy. I want to buy the bottom of that bullish channel. We come down sharp, but macro bottoms don't end in macro in wicks, right? In big sort of recoveries. They scale out. The degree of the drop flattens out. Right? You got a hard drop during most of the bull market or most of the bear market. And then the angle of the dangle starts to flatten out. Right? I like to buy the bottom of those ranges. And then I leave my bigger bag to be able to manual. And what I'm trying to manual is the last liquidity sweep. If whales and market makers are going to load up for the next run, they're going to need a pool of liquidity to do that in. You don't build enough liquidity by just coming down and having a sharp V-shaped recovery. right? You build that liquidity by doing exactly what, in my opinion, we're going to do over the next couple months, by consolidating, right? Every time you come back down to these lows, more people go long. Every time you test it again, more people go long. You sit here long enough, everybody's convinced that this is the bottom. Everybody and their mother is long. Well, what do you do if you've got $10 billion that you need to buy? Right? Yeah, you can sell it. You can buy it here and push price, and you can get filled here, 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 and here. Or you can dip down into this liquidity, buy it all here, absorb all of that, and then start the bull market, which is typically what happens. Right? Over and over and over. Everybody thinks it's the bottom. Everybody and their mother goes long. One last dip into that liquidity. Up and to the right. Price comes down. Stayed sideways for months. You go into that downward channel. Price sweeps all the longs. And then gone. So look at our structure now. Mind you, anybody that's been here since up here, this has been drawn since we were, but this is where I'm expecting that range, right? So I'm looking for that last sweep that comes down into like mid 50s and then starts to scale and then comes back down and then starts to scale and then comes back down and then rips and then goes. Right? Don't pay attention to these numbers. That's just a squiggle. I'm just showing you direction of what I'm expecting. And these are my 3 levels for our bottoms, right? Bullish case, we come down to 50. In this case, it would look like this. In this case, we've already started our consolidation for the most part, right? This is our bottom. Down, maybe come up, maybe come down, maybe come up, and then one sweep down into 50 and then gone. Right? And all the liquidity that gets built up here gets taken. Right? If I'm right and we have that other move down to mid 50s, then we'll do that here. And then come down and then gone. If this next move down is harder than I think it is, and we come down to like 48 or 40s, put a 4 in front of it, we consolidate here, then that's what opens up that 38. But it's all going to depend on if we drop, right? How hard we drop and how long it takes us. Because remember, time-wise, the bottom of our market in my opinion, is right there. October 5th to the 6th. Right? So timing is going to be important. Because we don't have that much time left. Yeah, there's definitely a chance it rips up from here. I'm still looking for a green July. Right? That's my thesis for July. Green July setup. Let me turn this off. Right, so this is my July thesis. I think we can get all the way up to 6616. I mean 6618. Basically reject off of 70 and then roll over. That's my most bullish sort of projection. Yeah, I'll show you what I expect to the top side. We've already done this red path, yellow path, green path. That drop down that we had yesterday gave us the structure for this W, even though it doesn't look like it right here. Right, this just looks V-shaped until you go down to like the 4 hour or even more, I guess the 1 hour. Right, then you can see that we actually came down, we built structure, stopping volume candle. We're just consolidating at the breakout. So red path was that we come up to this level and then we don't hold that type 2 and price just collapses from there, right? That was our bearish target for this relief rally. We've already hit that, 63.3. Our base case for this relief rally is at that SR flip. There's a huge order block there as well. It's basically 6.6, right? That's the most likely chance of resistance at that point. If we pop and go and get the real green July that I'm looking for, then our bull case so far, because that's the only pattern that's drawn, takes us to 69, which is that rejection off of 70. Our Labubu case, if we just get an inordinate amount of liquidity and would be retesting this bear flag that we broke that we haven't retested. In all three scenarios, it ends with taking out the lows, in my opinion. Right, but that's what we're looking at. That's my thesis, and I'm sticking to it. What's going on, Sturgeon? Well, if you want to overlay fractals, we can do that. I actually should have them here somewhere. Oh, here we go. All right. Let's overlay fractals. (2022) bear market. For the first 50% of this run, we were copying 2022 bear market 1000%. Right? That fractal gave us our relief rally, gave us a smaller relief rallies. Fractal, for some reason, even showed a 10-10 type event, which is funny. Our second relief rally. This is where the Iran war started. At this point, Bitcoin became the belle of the ball, right? It was better than anything else that was available. Gold had just gotten slaughtered. Silver had just gotten slaughtered. Oil was getting beat up in real time. So we diverted from 2022, right? But look at what happened. So you guys, I don't think you guys give old school Bitcoin miners enough credit. Look at the 2014 bear market. So at that point where we diverted from 2022, we just sort of pumped, right? And then time kicked in. And we started pushing that 2014 fractal. Give me a second. This got out of place. There we go. So look at how we follow the 2014 fractal from that point. Right? We're in an uptick on that fractal. The drop for it should be somewhere early July. I think that we still have a green July here. But my point is, even on both of those, whether you want to call it 2022 or you want to call it 2014, we still have 2 drops to go. And we can throw 2018 in here for shits and giggles. It's in here somewhere. It just wasn't following good, so it's not even worth. Right. So yeah, however you want to cut it, it's the time. Right? It's how much time is left that's the issue. I'm not trying to affect your trades, brother. If you want to be bullish, be bullish. The only thing that I ask is that you hedge against being wrong. As long as you're sized properly and you're hedged against being wrong, I have absolutely nothing to say about anybody's trades. By the way, the only reason I even pulled up the overlay is because you asked me to. Those overlays have very little to do with my decision making. It's just confluence.
Either way, decision time's coming soon.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like it, but we got through this bear market pretty quick. Although we fought the whole way down. I told you at the top of the market that it won't be until 75% of the bear market's over that the majority of people will be convinced it's a bear market. And then you won't be able to convince them that it's over. Because to them, it just started.
I know we went over the percentages, but low 50s is not, low 50s would be diminished returns to the downside.
Extreme diminished returns.
Yeah, and then 28 would be typical crypto.
77% was our last drop. By my best calculations, trying to be as fair as possible, taking everything into consideration, 70% is the smallest that I'm willing to go before I call it a sort of anomaly or a deviation from what's supposed to happen. 70% takes us to 38K. Right? right? If we get that 50%, that means we only had 61% drop during this bear market. That would be the largest diminishing returns on the drop that we've ever had by multiples, by magnitudes. My base case would be 65.9, 65.6. The reason that I'm not saying my base case is that 70% is because I do expect institutional front running.
Yeah,
I think
dude,
it'd be dumb to not expect that they step in earlier than anybody else. But it'd also be dumb to expect them to step in before the obvious flushes that usually happen that would give them cheaper prices. Not only that, but they need to flush into liquidity. Y'all don't understand that institutions can't just load up right now. They can't load up here. There's not enough longs underneath.
Yep.
You need to build up that pool of liquidity. That's the liquidity that they dip into. Those are the buyers that they force, right? Those are the sellers that they force to buy, or those are the sellers that are forced when they push through. And that's where they pick up all that Bitcoin.
Like, I can't prove this because I'm not looking at the chart from last cycle, but dude, pushing through 30 to the downside was hard. It sat and bounced around there as support on that last middle bear market we had in the middle of the cycle. And so, like, there's 28 and then there's 50, and I feel like we're somewhere in the middle where it's going to bottom. But again, that's not, that's using some of your data, but like, just I remember being there when 30 was like a fake bottom in the middle of the bull run.
Yeah.
It was really hard to push through it. So I just don't see us pushing through 30, man. That's why it seems to always be somewhere in the middle, right? Like the diminished returns best case to the worst case somewhere in the middle. I mean, I know that's very elementary logic, but sometimes elementary logic is what you need.
You also have to remember the if we look at fibs, right? So if we take our fib from the lowest point of the last bear market, right, we got that 786 retracement before price continued. Actually, let me put it on the cycle low instead of COVID, just to be fair. Yeah. Right. So 786 hit before price continues. You can also go back to 2000 and I'm just gonna eyeball this because I don't want to go crazy looking for the actual bottom here, but basically see what I mean. Low was right there. So 786 hit 2019 before continuation. 786 hit 2022 before continuation. Anybody willing to take a gamble where the 786 lands?
38, I don't know, I'm just guessing.
Right on the dot. 38K.
Oh my God. Coming for your job, Dbloc.
So again, prior performance does not promise, future results. But again, those are just confluences. Next bull market, I think we hit 180, 190, and people get left holding the bag waiting for 200. Don't let the multiples screw you up. Remember the dollar amounts that we're talking about. if you bought one Bitcoin down at the bottom of the last bear market for 15 and you sold it at the very, very tippity top, then you made $116,000 off of one Bitcoin. Just stop looking at the fiat value. Right? Off of one Bitcoin, you made 115K. If we go down to 50, let's say all you get is 50, and price goes to 180. Right? Then you typically made more. I mean, you technically made more, even though you had diminished returns. The trick is that you have to be able to afford that Bitcoin. Right? You have to start denominating in Bitcoin, but for that, you need to get the Bitcoin. And every cycle that you wait to get the Bitcoin, that 100K plus return per Bitcoin starts to cost you more. If it plays out the way it has, right? I'll show you my prediction chart. And again, I think that this will break. Right? Nothing is forever. If we get the adoption that we're supposed to get, this will break. It just hasn't for the last 2 cycles. Right? 19K came really close. I think we missed it by a couple hundred. But that was just the initial. And then we set the low, right? Our next high came up to our same 0 line. Missed by a little bit. Should have been 73.6 and we ended up getting 69, right? Bottom should have been 15.3 here, and I think we got 15.5. Following our log line up. 127, we got 126. Actually, that's wrong. Oh, we hit that one almost on a dot. Had it in the wrong spot. Right. Bottom 47K. This number has been here before we even had this. This is a old projection, yo. Top 180. Bottom of the next 75K. Top of the next 233. If this is right, by October 2034, the bottom of your bear market, it should be impossible for you to buy a Bitcoin for less than 100K. That's in 8 years or 12 years. So I'm not telling anybody how to play this game. But if the game that you're playing is Bitcoin accumulation, and if you believe in the Bitcoin game, then you can't afford to wait. My opinion. Yes, maybe you can trade alts and you can make a gang of money, and then when it comes down to 74, you're already rich because you made so much money on alts during this market, right? But if you don't, just know when you're at this point where we're at right now during the next bull market, you're going to be counting your dry powder to see how much of a Bitcoin you could buy for 74K. Bro, I don't know what everybody's saying, but I've been giving my numbers since up here, since October and November. Right. So when everybody was saying super cycle, I didn't let anybody change my mind. When everybody was saying it's gonna be an extended, I'm not gonna let, and when we get down here and everybody just happens to be now caught up to what I've been saying the whole time, I can't let that affect me either. Because in 2 months they'll be saying 30 and 20. And then by the time we get to the bottom, they'll be convinced that this shit is going to zero. No, I wasn't talking about you, Chris. I was saying, Noob was saying that everybody's saying 40 and 50. And I'm like, yeah, now. But they sure as hell weren't a year ago, or 6 months ago, or 3 months ago. And I'm happy to be wrong in 4K, bro. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All I can tell y'all is what the decisions that I'm making with my money. And I tend not to play when it comes to my money, so I think so too. I don't think that 38K is as far out of possibility as a lot of people think. It's all gonna depend on how hard this next drop is, like I said. If we only drop to 52 mid 50s, then I'm looking at like 48 mid 40s for that last drop. But if we drop into the 40s for whatever reason, don't expect the next drop to be that big. But if we do drop into the 40s, then you have to open up the 30s as a possibility if there's still months left in the cycle. Now, does that mean I'm not buying 40? Hell, I'm buying 40 hand over fist if we get a 4 in front of it. But I'm not going all in. I mean, even if you day trade, I think it's smart to have a long term bag sitting because that's going to protect you against your mistakes on your day trade. You know, and for me, honestly, it really comes down less to percentages and more to how much Bitcoin do you have if you don't have any. Remember, you don't need a whole Bitcoin, y'all. You really don't. In the future, we won't even be. You just saw that bottom at 100K in like 2 cycles, right? You think anybody's going to be talking about Bitcoin in whole Bitcoin numbers at that point? Everybody's just going to be talking about how many Satoshis they have. And Satoshis are currently getting cheaper and cheaper. Everybody loves shitcoins, and Satoshis are sitting there with 3 zeros in front of them. I say this all the time. It's like the meme coin with the best use case. You can buy them super cheap. You can buy a ton of them. And then if you accumulate 100 million of them, you get a Bitcoin. And if you don't accumulate 100 million of them, you still have way more than everybody else beneath you because they can't afford the same amount of Satoshis that you bought 1 cycle, 2 cycle, 3 cycles ago. I think right now for your fair share of Satoshis on the planet, meaning if you took everybody's Bitcoin away and you divided it evenly amongst everybody on the planet, your fair share of Satoshis, I think, is about $230. That's to lock down the equivalent of your rightful Bitcoin, right? If it was to be spread, and obviously it's never going to be spread evenly. Michael Saylor and BlackRock have way more than their fair share. Yeah, my bull case would be above. My bull case would be probably around 200K. But I want everybody to start thinking in per Bitcoin, right? Per Bitcoin numbers. Meaning everybody talks about diminished returns and shit, right? But Bitcoin went from 16K to 67 in a bull market that everybody considers the best bull market, right? Great bull market. But it only went up, what? 50K per Bitcoin? A little bit more. Next bull market, you went from 60 to 126. Right? But you went from 15 to 126. Right? Which means that's over $100,000 per Bitcoin. If you go from 30 to 180, that's $150,000 per Bitcoin. The problem is that math only maths if you're holding Bitcoin.
Wrong way, Bitcoin.
Telling me, man. My food's about to get here. I'm starving. What are y'all having for dinner?
Oh, I was still thinking about lunch. What are you choosing?
I ordered some Italian. I got some chicken parm, some
Oh.
garlic bread, pasta.
I thought you said a light.
I gotta check on this damn app one more time before I go. Let me see something real quick before I go. Shit, I think we're all wired up. Still got to fix the back end on this, but ain't that failed? It's good. It needs to be fixed. All right, I just got to hook up the API on the back end. I'm just making sure all the buttons are working right. And then that needs to be wired up. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think Pith has great use case, right? The most Oracle activity is coming from Pith right now. It's kind of impressive. Like if you look at Piths, if you go to Pith Network and you look at where is it? I used to have this right on the front page. Go to ecosystem. So oracles provide real-time price action to exchanges, right? That's basically their job. Chainlink before was the main oracle. You guys remember in 2023 or whatever, you would go on dexes and you would go to buy an asset, and if you waited 2 to 3 seconds, the price would change, right? So we got used to waiting until the price changed to see what the actual price was, and then we'd press the button. The reason we had to wait 2 to 3 seconds was because of Chainlink. Right? That's how long it took for the data feeds to come in. Pith is sub-second. Okay, so the amount of projects that have gone with Pith, because of that,